Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm a social studies educator, historian, and host of this, the Everything is a Primary Source podcast. I'm also an avid collector of popular culture artifacts. I love what I find at thrift store outlets, garage sale leftovers, and what I spot just making my way around the built world. I enjoy sorting through boxes of free books and magazines, not to mention online collections like Internet Archive, and of course the Library of Congress. But you don't need to spend your time digging through bins or following online rabbit holes to get a look into the past. The movies and TV we watch, the books we read, and the games we play are all documents of the past. So is fashion, food, music, toys, even the roads we travel on and the places we live and work in. Everything is a primary source. This podcast is the result of exhibiting these kinds of artifacts in public, getting passersby to select an item they connect with, and then chatting with me to see what it says about the time, place, and people who made it. The conversation you are about to hear, therefore, is your history, my history, our history, through popular culture. This actually might be a first. That I've done this with a former student.
Oh, yeah.
So this is like the test of like how good of a teacher I am that we can still do this. So Kieran is here.
Yep.
And how are you liking the show so far? Have you ever been to a long story short before?
No, this is the first one. It's emotion. Yeah.
It's. I think that's really what storytelling. I love how they just give a theme and then everybody kind of makes of it what they will. And so
Yeah.
right before intermission was a pretty emotional tale.
Don't get me started, yeah.
And that's when I'm like, I'm out here to talk goofy stuff about pop culture. Let's, and nobody's taking it because they're like all wiping their eyes and everything. But
it's good relief, yeah.
It's the human experience. That's what it's all about. And so from my table of stuff, you came across this... I found this pile of, I think they actually used to belong in some kind of box that you'd have in your kitchen, but it's a number of recipe cards from 1971. And as soon as you picked them up, you're like, yeah, that looks like it's from 1971. What gave it away as being from that late 60s, early 70s era?
The amount of times I saw the word salad in the pile, for sure. My understanding is that was kind of around the time canned food became a thing. I know Germany had some very wacky recipes, quote unquote, and anything that it lasts for a while, and you can just mix it together, and it's a salad.
Right.
Now.
You just throw some mayonnaise in it, and you have a salad that you didn't think could be a salad.
Wonder bread with a pineapple slice, a maraschino cherry, and a slice of American cheese.
And that's all about presentation. You want to make it look good for your guests or just for your family.
Right.
The question I'm wondering about is who's the intended audience or user of this?
Oh, the quote unquote good wife.
Yeah.
My understanding was that there were a lot of like books, things like that at the time that were kind of like guides to being a housewife, being like, this is what everyone is doing. These are the recipes. And so
this is how you keep a good house. This is how you make your husband happy. And I think a lot of, because believe it or not, I wasn't alive in 1971. I wasn't born for another 10 years. But a lot of the messages that we get, it seems like people tend to put, the decades, like 50s was like this, 60s was like this, and 70s was like this. And there's like no bleed over. I'm like, 1971 is, for all intents and purposes, still the 60s.
Oh, for sure.
And the 60s, despite, once again, what media likes to make us think, wasn't full of tie-dye and... hippies everywhere. It was still a lot of carryover from what you're describing of that, good housewife. But, with so many of these like salad type, these quick and easy meals. And I mean, this is just on cards. So I assume you could just have it and just pull the, 5 of them and here's our meals for the week.
Yeah.
What was the life of women, moms, how is that changing by 1971? And maybe even reflecting on what we just heard as a story.
Yeah. I mean, oof.
And it's kind of conveyed with these cards is how simple these recipes are. You can just whip it together in a flash. You're not going to spend all day slaving over this stuff.
I'm guessing that would be the trend that I understand is, I mean, even continuing now, where women are finding that they have more independence, they have more time to themselves. They can, you don't have the time to stay. You're not staying at home all day, like making a roast or something every single
tending
day.
to it and all that. You might even have a job of your own that you have to
get out.
Yeah. Because this is
no way. Yeah.
Not those. The crock pot was coming out in the same time period. Set it in the morning, come back and visit it later. And, it's all ready-made meal for you, and you don't have to worry about it. And those are I use them all the time.
I mean, I think of that as a bachelor invention more than anything. Yeah. So I mean, that makes sense.
Like, you cook my food. All I have to do, dump 3 ingredients, and you look at any one of these, and some of them are festive. Like this one is just paper bag party. So hopefully that's not. Oh, that's popcorn. It looks really kind of crappy, actually. That tell me a story party. So it's like, here's a quick way with what you might have around your kitchen that you can have a quick little party, entertain the kids. But this recipe for favorite dressings for fruit salads, sugar, dry mustard, celery seeds, salt, paprika, pepper, salad oil, honey, lemon. I mean, none of these things are exotic.
No.
Like you could either, if you don't have them in your house already, you could easily just go down to a grocery store and grab most of these things. It's not asking for you to, have some kind of weirdo spice or, you don't even have to do anything other than shake things out and pour them into the salad.
I mean, the onion and the lemon those already have quite a good shelf life.
Right. And
those are the most short-lived things on this list by far.
It's such a era of, the colors alone on these cards screams late 60s, early 70s.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
The entire time period seems to be just like, I don't know, trying so hard to hold on to the wholesomeness of the decades before. But then when you look at what was happening, I mean, just 1968 alone was a pretty tumultuous year for the whole country. And it's like, we can try to cover it up with these silly, but, things are different. The 60s was a revolutionary era. We came out of the 60s much different as a country, as a culture than we were going into the 60s. These are kind of like, nice try. You can dress it up all you want, but we're still.
Right.
This is actually a much different place than we were imagining. Are any of these appealing to you when you're looking at them? You're like, oh yeah, I could see myself having
a zucchini toss. I'm trying to eat more greens. Who isn't? Romaine lettuce. That's good. Yeah.
I think they should have invested better in the color on this one. It's chocolate pudding pie, but it looks pretty gray.
Oh.
I don't think that's very appetizing.
Oh, yeah.
Here's our classics. American classics, they call it. Here you have turkey and this is just a divider card.
Like Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah.
This is, talk about 70s, a fondue loha. So they're combining
Hawaiian fusion.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I feel like the Brady Bunch are going to be using this at some point.
Yeah, they're like, all right, Hawaii's a state. We got to make the most of it.
Like, let's get
Pineapple paradise of the world.
Alice the recipe card for this one because we could use some fondue aloha in our lives. So pop culture. Is best explained, I think, that is the Brown Library in at Bowling Green State University in Ohio refers to it as the study of everyday life. That, when we think of pop culture, we always think of course, movies and TV and music and things like that. But really, It is everyday life, and you can't get any more everyday life than cooking a meal at home.
The things that are referenced in everyday life.
Yeah. It's like that's just who we are, and it's fun talking about this with anybody, but especially with somebody that is in my class before. So
yeah.
I hope
Great
you
time.
had a nice little catch-up session with this, and definitely, hopefully this isn't the last time we meet and cross paths and talk.
No, for sure.
History through pop culture.
Yeah, I hope I get to. I'm gonna definitely follow this podcast now.
Good.
After hearing it, and I want to participate more, and I am looking forward to future meetings. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's make it happen. And I'm so glad, Kieran, that you stopped by.
Yeah.
And that you recognize me.
Oh, always.
My giant head. There he is. Popular culture, by definition, connects and unites us, and proves that people of different backgrounds, in fact, have a lot in common with one another. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, at least in part, for that reason. If it connects with you and you'd like to add to it, or any of the podcast episodes, just visit everything-history.com and search for the Everything is a Primary Source project, which can be found in the classroom section of the website. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Be sure to rate and share this podcast wherever you are listening to it now, and follow Everything as a Primary Source on social media, including YouTube and especially Instagram. Thank you for listening to the EPS podcast, where everything is a primary source.